This weekend was the NFL Combine. We got to see these running backs blaze the track. We got to see the stock of these players increase or stay the same because not many of them fell on their face. The only players that really fell on their face was either at tight end or wide receiver. These running backs either did okay to good, or they exceeded expectations or were excellent on the field at the Combine. Not much player movement when it comes to market sentiment and rankings. Outside some players at the top is rumbling towards that S tier. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're talking about these players every day. We're going deeper into the advanced metrics because we got more to look at here. We got more tools. Everything's here is free, and it's going to help you build your Dynasty teams. Click that button, stop missing out. But we're going to rank by tiers today. We're ranking by tiers. Anybody's in the same tier, they're kind of ruffled up together. And honestly, when I draft, and I'm in a lot of mock drafts, regular drafts, and everything else, I might flip the script and draft that guy I got ranked 4 over the guy I got ranked 2 anyways, because that's really how my mind works. So I'm going to keep things honest, put these guys in a tier, and I'm going to shuffle them around as I go, kind of like a video diary, so you can adjust your ranks and your tiers and your values with the players and what I'm showing you. But we got to talk about S tier first. S tier is getting controversial. Kind of, sort of, not really, but we're going to get there. S tier, we might have some dudes fighting for that spot. Right now, the big difference is market sentiment, and I think it's locked in to how it's been. But I'm telling you that if we get into the NFL draft and what people are saying or thinking happens, we might have to anoint another running back or two into this tier. And this class is so good that I could definitely see that happening. But in S tier, we're going Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty is that running back that's holding market value. He's so good. He's so high up there. He did not need to run at the Combine. Mega productive. Some video game stats here. 5.25 yards after contact per attempt. 151 missed tackles forced. Just dominant last year and very productive the year prior. We got good size here. We are built to play the NFL game with good contact, balance, vision, patience, wiggle. Everything's there. But one thing I want to look at here is the A tier. A tier is very interesting as we're looking at Omarion, Hampton, Kaleb Johnson, Quinshon, Judkins, and TreVeyon Henderson. Some Hendo action here. And when I look at some Hendo action, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with him. But Omarion Hampton's that guy that could sneak into S tier. S tier is very ambiguous right now once we get to the NFL draft because Omarion Hampton blew up the track. Blew up high-end speed score, high-end burst score. We did the work. We are productive. We have the production profile as an S tier back in any given class. There's potential now that we blew up the track that we're going to get that high-end draft capital. Not just first round. Not just a guy that sneaks in the back half first round. A guy that's supposed to be there. A guy that's supposed to climb in the first round. And there's talk that some people think that he might get drafted ahead of Jeanty. And that might be just smoke from what we saw at the Combine. But it's legit smoke. It's legit smoke. And on top of that, Kaleb Johnson did enough at the Combine to not drop his stock. And he did everything on his numbers to replicate what we see on tape. I like Kaleb Johnson. I think he's a damn good running back prospect. 1,500 yards. I don't think he's going to get the same draft capital as Omarion Hampton or some of the other guys we're talking about in A tier. I think we have the potential to be a feature back. I think we have the potential to get a lot of carries and workload. I think we're going to be a good value for our NFL team. 4.42 yards after contact per attempt. Had a good season. Had a good freshman season. Got hurt in 2023. If we didn't get hurt in 2023, I think market sentiment would be a little bit different on him. Not a guy that's juiced up or twitched up. Especially that's what the number says. That's what the tape says. That makes sense. Quinshon Judkins is definitely twitched up though. He showed that at the Combine. He showed that on field. He was measured running 21.1 miles per hour against Notre Dame right through the seam. He's got speed. I don't understand why people question it because he got caught behind on a 70-yard run. That was rather interesting watching that. This is a guy that broke out with 2 different collegiate programs. Ohio State was throttled back a bit because we're sharing the backfield. Ole Miss, we took over as a freshman. Zach Evans was considered a top running back in college football going to Ole Miss. And Quinshon Judkins says, hey, just take a nap over there on the sidelines. I'm going to do the work. Then we come in the second year, we do more work. And this is in the SEC where Ole Miss, in a lot of these games, are the underdog. And he still produced. We go to Ohio State. We go to get that natty. We go to get that natty and have more tread on our tires going into our NFL career. I feel like he's done enough to be a first-round pick. This is a first-round pick profile. If he goes to the second, that's a hell of a discount. This is a first-round pick profile. This is what we're seeing. Top-tier athleticism, 90-plus percentile speed score, 90-plus percentile burst score, good size at 221 pounds. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Took 16 games for 2024, but we were sharing the backfield, and there was a reason for that. I think when we look at Judkins, we're looking at a back that can carry a workload and be a cornerstone piece for his team. I have him heavy A tier, and I'm looking at him to jump to S tier possibly, going in the right landing spot. Right landing spot, first-round draft capital, I think it's there. I think it might be there for him. TreVeyon Henderson, speed to burn. We saw that at the combine. We saw that on the tape. It matches. We saw that in the 100-meter times back in high school. We went wire to wire. 5-star prospect to college career to combine so far. Just doing work. The only thing about him is the injuries throughout his career. I have him in between like a DeAndre Swift and Christian McCaffrey type of player. Not saying projecting out for a career or anything, but the fact that we got speed after the catch, we got good balance, we're very elusive but yet quick and fast through the hole. We weighed in around 202 pounds at the combine, but we're electric. We're not expected to be that guy to take on 30 opportunities a game, but there's only like 1 or 2 backs in the league that does that, but we're not expected to get there. We're expected to be like a 1B or 1A back, getting a lot of work in the passing game, getting work in the flat, getting some carries up the gut, but honestly getting that money work where we get the ball in space and we have room to work to get the yards after the catch, yards after contact, make guys miss. TreVeyon Henderson can definitely do that. But we're moving on to Tier B. Tier B is a very interesting tier. I want to dig into these guys right now. Dylan Sampson, productive in the SEC. 1,400 yards, 22 touchdowns, has been dealing with an injury. He's going to be a great discount for your NFL team. He's in Tier B, but he's a Tier A talent, just like everybody else in Tier B. They're mixed up together. Draft capital and feelings towards these players are going to be different for everybody. Dylan Sampson, a very good running back prospect, came in at 200 pounds. We did not get a 40 time, so a little bit lighter in the pants. Odds are he's probably going to share backfield, but that's with 90% of the running backs right now. And most of these guys are going to start off sharing the backfield because we still got older running backs in the National Football League that we got to flesh out. Devin Neal runs a 4.58, 213, a little bit slower, but we got burst score. But production matters. We got good enough size. We got great production. 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Broke out as a freshman. Good burst score there at 83rd percentile. We're looking at a running back here that wherever he goes, he's going to be competitive on the depth chart. He's going to rise the depth chart. 3.73 yards after contact per attempt. The 4.58 40-yard dash here and the speed score relative to this class, you're like kind of feeling icky about it. But in any other draft class, that's still a top guy. That's still a top guy. You have to understand that is perception. Perception with some of these numbers, it's going to really hit you a little different compared to other years. But the NFL is not going to look at it that way when they're on the clock. They're going to take their guy. They're going to go off of nuances and technique and everything else. Devin Neal, wire to wire, was a hitter at Kansas. A big-time playmaker. Skattebo did not test, but we did do the jumps. Big-time vertical from this guy. Very explosive. I would not guess he would do that well in the 40 anyways. That's not his game. But I think he would have done all right. He would have done okay, but not enough to tank his stock. 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, 4.09 yards after contact per attempt. Catch the ball in the backfield. Can be like a James Conner in the NFL possibly. He's a guy that has some size to him at 219. Is a running back that's very interesting. What I like about Skattebo is he holds a lot of market value. A lot of people like him. A lot of people like him. The media wants to talk him up so bad. A lot of people like him. That's going to hold market value in Dynasty for some leagues, or a lot of leagues. But he's a guy to pay attention to. I believe he's still going to hold draft capital. I guarantee it. DJ Giddens. So I was in a draft last night. Early second round. Tier A was done. Now we're in Tier B. I'm looking at Tier B. And I'm looking at the guys I want. I hit the Giddens button. I think Giddens is more Tier A than he is Tier B. But when I look at Tier B, these are guys without the market sentiment that are Tier A talents. And usually when you put Giddens or Skattebo or anybody else in this tier, or Neal, they're Tier A-ish. That's what we're saying. But market sentiment, the market's kind of low in Giddens. It's kind of like still like a hidden fact in Dynasty. When you look at podcasts, I'm trying to listen to a lot of those these days. 2x speed, because they're not very entertaining. DJ Giddens is a guy that does not get brought up much, and when he does get brought up, he's kind of brought up as a sleeper. Look at the profile. Does this look like a sleeper to you? He's not a sleeper. He should be in Tier A, but you guys are not talking him up enough. Talk him up more so people want to draft him. Get this kid some buzz. I did draft him over everybody else in this tier last night. I did that. That's on you on what you want to do. But Ollie Gordon was in Tier A. I scooted him back to Tier B because of Giddens. Not because of what he did on the field. I think what I saw at the combine is what I saw on tape. It is what it is. 225, good production. The DOI is a factor for him due to this being a competitive running back class and old crusty guys in the NFL. But a good talent is going to be a good value for his NFL team. He's going to be a good value in rookie drafts. He's a big boy. I think he slimmed down to hit that 4.61 a little bit. I think he did. So I think he's a little bit bigger than what he weighed in at. Remember, these guys are not this weight or this size for the next 5 to 10 years. It's going to change, just like your weight changes. Keep that in mind. But I have another guy in here, Damien Martinez. I like him a lot. I've been watching him since his freshman season, even prior to that, because this is a big-time player. He rose the ranks on his team quickly. He killed the competition at Oregon State, was very productive there, and then put the stamp on things in 2023. We hit the portal. Everybody wanted this kid. We go to Miami. We transition quickly to the Hurricanes. We learn the offense and then get 4.46 yards after contact per attempt. We average 6.3 yards per carry. This is a running back that has the potential to adapt to the NFL rather quickly. Weighed in at 217 pounds. Good speed score, okay speed score and everything else. Damien Martinez is a guy to pay attention to. He's a guy that I'm watching like a hawk. Like a hawk where he goes in the draft. He might be an afterthought, but if he is, he's still going to be a good back that can climb a depth chart, and I'm liking that. Going to Tier C. Tier C is an interesting tier. We got Marks, RJ Harvey, Quinshon, Raheim Sanders, and Tuten. But Woody Marks here. Didn't kill it at the combine. Ran a 4.54, but I don't care. Production matters. Traits matters. But he might be a little bit cheaper when it comes to NFL draft capital. I had him in Tier B prior, but I moved him down because I looked at Giddens and I looked at Marks and I was like, these guys ain't the same. These guys ain't the same. And then I thought about market sentiment. And when it comes to deep dynasty, he's in the no. But still, when it comes to basic community, not really. Woody Marks is a prospect you'll catch in the middle rounds of the draft somewhere. Maybe day 3 even. And he's a prospect that has a lot of upside, that has a lot of juice. We transferred to USC. We balled out. 5.7 yards per carry though. So a little bit lighter. Prospect terms coming out of college football. 3.04 yards after contact per attempt. Weighing at 207, 4.54, 40-yard dash. Not the best speed score out there. Good traits, but a guy to pay attention to as your drafts move along. RJ Harvey, 4.4, 40-yard dash. 205 pounds. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He has a production profile of somebody that belongs in the tier above. But he's also like an underground running back prospect that those in the know only like. I'm in the know. I like him a lot. Him versus Marks. Marks got more name cachet versus Harvey. Harvey's got traits, burst, explosiveness. He's a guy that is a good money ball running back for a team. Like, if you start off your draft going wide receiver and you're looking for running backs, RJ Harvey's probably a guy you're going to end up with. Like, if you go wide receiver and you're planning on slamming running backs, I imagine RJ Harvey's the guy you're going to go with. I imagine you're going to look for him. LeQuint is just a baller. Did not run at the combine, but back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, explosive through the hole, catches the ball in the backfield, can handle a heavy workload. Upside for days out of LeQuint Allen. I like him a lot. Raheim Sanders is a discount running back that could climb a depth chart. Back in Arkansas, back in those days, he was a Debbie darling. Then we go to South Carolina. We run for 881 yards. We run a 4.6. Why is he in this tier? Because he used to be a Debbie darling. Those guys who used to be a Debbie darling sometimes emerge randomly too, like a Brock Purdy. He was a Debbie darling, and then he kind of had a similar career arc like this. Those players like that, but you could still say the same thing like a Spencer Rattler. He was a Debbie darling. So it goes both ways. But still, Raheim Sanders is a discount running back. Probably better discount for an NFL team and a guy you're watching a little bit for Dynasty. But those later picks, this is a running back to look at. Tuten's got speed to burn. 4.32. We got decent size with that speed. 2.06. Elite burst score. Elite speed score. 1,000 yards last year. 863 year before. Back-to-back double-digit touchdown seasons. 4.4 yards after contact per attempt. Guy that you're watching. Right depth chart. Climbs the depth chart. Could be a guy that's making some money for you. Now we're looking at Tier D. Tier D is a funny tier here. Marcus Yarns, Montrell Johnson, Trevor Etienne, Donovan Edwards. All these guys got some good things to their profile. Marcus Yarns, 4.45 40-yard dash here at 193 pounds. Good speed score, okay speed score. Not horrible, not great. 193, a little bit lighter in the pants, so we're not expected to be the guy in the backfield. What I don't like about him is the production at a small school isn't really up there, especially when you look at the passing game. It's not elite either. Not too many receptions. Yards after contact per attempt's pretty solid at 4.22 last year, 4.32 in 2022. Not making a lot of guys miss. It looks like 33, 30. So overall, when you look at the tape, it's very limited because it's from a small school program. Doesn't look bad, but it also doesn't stack up to the running backs in this class. Montrell Johnson, the production's okay, but it's not elite. We did not break 1,000 yards throughout our career. However, we got a little bit in the receiving game in 2023 with 30 balls caught. 3.24 yards after contact per attempt this year. 4.41 40-yard dash at 212. This is a running back that might get lost in the shuffle when it comes to NFL draft, but is a guy that could be a sneaky option on the back end of a depth chart too, because we have some pop to his step. He's explosive. He's proven to carry the load a little bit at Florida, but not too heavy. So that's something to pay attention to. But when we look at Trevor Etienne, that's a big name coming out of high school, especially due to his brother. Decent speed score, good 40-yard dash time, 198 pounds. Per player profiler, 4.08 yards after contact per attempt in 2023. We go to Georgia, 3.43, 122 carries there. And he's a guy we've been waiting to break out. He's a guy that has some moments where it looks like he's going to take over college football and just didn't. There's a lot to look at when it comes to Trevor Etienne. He has a lot of potential. He has the potential to be a breakout running back. And he had that potential in college and flirted with that every now and again. And it just never happened. And he's a running back that I've been waiting for him to break out. Just like Donovan Edwards. Similar story. A running back that just flirted with greatness. And the next thing you know, you just didn't hear anything about him again. 2022 was his best year, 991 yards. 7 touchdowns. That year, 3.71 yards after contact per attempt. Shared the backfield with Blake Corum. Shared the backfield again this year. Just a guy that's never taken over. You can also say that Michigan did not use him correctly, which makes sense. He's good in the passing game. Can catch the ball at the backfield. Very explosive in space. You saw that at the combine a little bit. That being said, when you look at Donovan Edwards, this is a running back that could surprise you in the NFL. Watch where he goes in the draft. If he goes to a team that has a quarterback that checks it down a lot and he gets touches or opportunities due to attrition or whatever happens, he could be a surprising guy in the NFL that just starts emerging and making an impact for your Dynasty team. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.